Welcome to the Ops Experts Club. If you're at all interested in anything we talk about here in this episode, go ahead and check out the description down below and click any of the links there. Or if you just want to know more about us, click the links below. Now on to the episode.
Ops Experts Club. Yes, Terryn Turner. Man, little does the crowd know, I barely walked in the door from Belize from our latest grand opening down at Belize, Terryn. It was amazing.
Now they know.
Now they know. Little do they know, but now they know a lot. Yeah, it was a good one, man. It was, we moved Burns across the street to a new building, which is our first location down in Belize. First drive-through coffee in the country of Belize. Drew and I started in 2022. November. Terryn Turner was there. Legendary. In fact, I was going around talking to all the kids, because a lot of the kids are still working for us, which is pretty awesome. And I said, hey, who's here for the first one? And one of them said they were. And I'm like, I don't know. What do you remember from it? She said, there was this really tall white guy that was working. I said, there sure was. His name was Terryn Turner. Little sweat boxer, and I want you to know this one actually has air conditioning.
Oh, upgrade.
Much different experience, but we did 1,100 drinks. So I felt like kids picked and took name on grand opening day.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. So Ops Experts, great to be with you back again here on the Ops Experts Club. Terryn Turner and I thought we would talk about today what makes a great visionary successful for the long term. I think that there are a lot of guys out there that are like flash in the pan, right? Amazing visionaries that do incredible things, but really it's like, come on, Eileen, right? It was a great one hit. Where'd that band go for the rest of their career? Like, how do you come up with a banger like, come on, Eileen? I swear, I only, right? I don't even know the lyrics, but that's amazing, right? How do you come up with a banger like that and then not be able to follow it up? Come on, Blue Oyster Cult Club. Like, what happened there? You know what I mean? So I think there are a lot of visionaries that like flash in the pan are amazing for a window of time and then kind of dwindle, kind of die off. But there are other visionaries that have enough bottom end that they're able to continue year over year growth. And that's what I'd like to talk to you today. Terryn, you've been under the hood of a lot of very powerful visionaries, both sides of that, right? Guys that have been flash in the pan and others that have had sustainable growth. Maybe the talking point wise, what comes to your mind first when you think, like a guy I'd like to talk about today as a case study would be Dr. Dharius Daniels, because I think he's amazing leader, and he's one of those guys that has been able to stand the test of time. But what sticks out in your mind is some of the things that's like, hey, if you want to be good at this game and you want it to last for a long time in the digital marketing space, what do people need?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it both ways. I think some of the more successful ones, I think maybe just what they have, it's got a bigger audience. I know Pedro especially, he tells you to niche down very much, but like you still got to have enough potential people there to where you can't, it's not just one and done to where now you've sold everything you've got to the only people who could use this product. So yeah, you gotta have enough people to sustain it for a long time. And then can they grow with you too? Or will they just get in and get out and that's it? There's just a one product lifetime value and there's nowhere else you can take them.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think probably to set the stage, because I think it can come off a little harsh when you talk about flash in the pan or people that rise and fall. I do think there are some things that are trends, right? Like I would say Pedro hit challenges at the right window, right? He hit challenges and he launched it. Nobody else was doing it. He became known as the challenge guy. He created a curriculum around it with Crush It with Challenges. He sold it off to Russell Brunson at ClickFunnels, like what a great thing. But I think the reason why he sold it was because he knew this mode of marketing has a lifetime. This isn't going to be, like the sexiest vehicle forever. Like this has got a window of time, so sometimes it can just be flash in the pan because it's a limited lifetime. And then where do you go from there? While we're on the subject of band themes, I think that's why you watch bands like and out of genre, right? Let's talk about one of the greatest of all time. One everybody on the show is going to give me a head nod and a high five for, like Mumford and Sons, Terryn's favorite band. Like I think that they had great stuff out of the gates for the first 2 or 3 albums, but then like fourth album, they started wandering a little bit, trying to find like their new sound. And I think once you do, you start losing some of your generational following who really liked your original sound. I think that can happen with visionaries too, with your strategy that you're peddling. If it dies off, is the next thing that you bring to the market going to be as powerful as the last thing? Is it going to be something that translated across many people? Challenges were great because it doesn't matter if you're, if you've got a health, like a health food product line. Doesn't matter if you're like a veterinarian to goats. I remember that was one of Pedro's like ladies that found a real niche with challenges. You can use challenges for anything because you're just identifying your target market and then really drilling down on them. But so I will say there's probably some of that has to do with trend in market. But I think you're right. a well-defined target market, but then also thinking through a well thought through ascension plan. Like, does this have enough legs that I'm not going to bottom it out too early? And can I ascend them up through some sort of trajectory where I can nurture this person who's given me their yes in a way that brings them value and also brings me income, right? Like how are we
Hmm.
going to from their origin to a higher ticket item that's something that's going to make them feel good and that's going to make me money. So I think those are two things that are really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we talk a little bit about limiting the chaos?
Ooh, where would we be without chaos?
I will say chaos is the magic, right? Like I think that's what Witcher taught us. You know what I'm saying? Any of you Witcher fans out there that love watching the Netflix series, chaos is the magic, but too much chaos is too much magic, right? So I would say limited strategic pivots, not all the time chaos. Terryn, do you want to speak to that? Because you've been on both sides of that magic spectrum.
Yeah, I would say it goes into a lot of what we've talked about in the past, asking too much of people and forgetting what you've already asked them to do. Tends to feel like chaos for people who are on your team. Um, quick mind changes,
Yeah.
you know, that's a tough chaos one. Obviously, though, if it's for the benefit of the business, you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, I think it's just seeing things through to completion and being able to put enough behind it to iterate it and continue with it and grow it and scale it without just being like, we pushed once and now we're done and we're moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually letting it get some legs.
Yeah, so let's back some of these ideas into Dr. Darius because I think that's a great. I think sometimes you can talk really theoretical, and it's like, okay, but how do I apply that to myself, and what does that look like? So let's talk about Darius for a minute. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Dr. Darius Daniels, amazing, amazing man. I feel like well-tempered, good dude, but also has a product that continues to sell over and over again. So for him, a well-defined target market. He's in the faith space, right? He pastors a big church, but he doesn't just stick within just like typical Bible Christian worldview. He does have products around that, but he also dips into the entrepreneurial market and into the kingdom-based market, which is great because he's respected as a man that can do that. So he has a well-defined target market. He has a well-thought-through ascension plan. Actually, I think Darius is one of the most impressive I've seen because he gives out tickets or he sells tickets to his events that happen once or twice a year, and then he actually calls up on stage and honors the people that have taken that next ascended journey with him live at the conference, right? So people haven't given their yes to ascend with Darius yet. They've just decided to come to this conference, hear what he has to say. He brings the next tier up on the stage, gives them awards, honors them in front of the people. So indirectly, he just pitched the next stage. Like he just pitched the next opportunity without pitching anything because people visualize and see themselves on the stage receiving that award. When he actually makes the pitch by the end of the conference, he has a lot more people that are willing to raise their hand and take the offer. I think brilliant, brilliant strategy when it comes to how am I ascending people. So great, great one there. And then I do think Darius does pull pivots. There's no way around it. But typically there's strategic pivots at the right moment of an offer strategy that if it's just not performing right, he'll maybe add a tweak or add this thing, but
Hmm.
it's not like a monumental tweak that's going to throw off, like buck your whole team on what they've built and all the automations they've set up and everything that they've set up for this launch. Is typically just, hey, why don't we throw this in? Why don't we add this here? Why don't we make this tweak? You want to speak to that for a minute, Taryn? Maybe the difference between a major pivot and a strategic pivot?
Yeah, and I will say a lot of the times they happen in response to customer feedback too. If something isn't making sense to the customers, just a handful of them, then it's probably not making sense to most of them. And so at that point, you do have to adjust so that it makes sense to more people than it doesn't make sense to. So yeah, those are some spur of the moment pivots where we're not rewriting the book. We're just being a little more adding or subtracting or making it very clear. Or maybe there was too many options and we need to make less options.
Yeah.
Or maybe there was one option and we need to make three options. So it's just a strategic way to identify the feedback you're receiving and adjust within a time frame that's still appropriate to when you would tell people you would be done selling this thing.
Yep.
And so you can still have your credibility there.
I think one of the cool things that I've seen that Darius does when it comes to his offer strategy to get that kind of feedback is he'll do his whole presentation, right? The whole presentation of whatever he's presenting. This is not the live event setting, but in the virtual setting, right? So he's virtually presenting on his webinars or however he's doing it for his virtual event. And then he'll give people the invitation of, hey, So if you'd like to take this next progress with me, I'm going to bump over into a different Zoom chat, and we're going to drop the link here. You can jump over there with me. If you don't, if this was enough for you, man, God bless you. Have a great time. I hope you found enough value here that you really are able to go someplace with it. But if you'd like to take the next step with me, and so I feel like it's very non-intrusive. People don't feel like they're being backed into a corner on the pitch, or they don't feel like, oh, here we go. He's going to wind up for the pitch. He's inviting him into it. You know what I mean? Then he invites him into that room. And then what that room looks like is he does give them a pitch, but Dharius is not a hard pitcher. Like, it's a soft underhand pitch. And then he opens it up for people to ask questions to his team. And then his team will stick around for another hour, 2 hours answering everybody's questions. But that's a really good time to get the feedback on, are people confused with the offer? Is there something about the offer that's not connecting? Is there something that if we made an offer, we're seeing a trend of people's questions or suggestions that it's like, then he can roll out the next day, hey, because you guys asked for this, we're bringing it to you. So yes, it's a pivot, but it was one, I think it's a great point that you made, Terryn, that it's generated based upon customer inquiry, customer desire, which is kind, right? Because they already have given you their yes by asking for what they wanted. So now you're just giving them what they wanted.
Yeah.
Good. Another one, Terryn, I thought was a good one is confidence of their position and value in the marketplace. I mean, like, whoever the visionary is, like Pedro, I thought did really well with, he's the challenge guy and he owned the space. He did challenges for Joel Olstein. He did challenges for Damon John. He did challenges for Dean and Tony. He did, challenges for some of the biggest names that were out there, Joe Polish, all like huge guys that he made a crap ton of money for by introducing them to his challenge framework and then actually rolling it out for them, teaching them how to do it and doing the challenge with them for them. But he was confident in his position of value in the marketplace. Dharius does that too, where he's like, hey, I'm not going to try and do a bunch of different things. I'm not going to try and be the best at a bunch of different things, but this is my space. If you're looking for, and a lot of times he goes after leaders in Christian circles that want to expand their horizon on entrepreneurialism, you know what I mean, or being an entrepreneur in the space. Or he has a whole faith-based side of things where it's like, no, you just want to be leader within churches. Well, let me take you under my wing and mentor you in that way too. Like, there's a couple different ways that he takes it, but I feel like he has a very strong confidence, and you can see it. He recognizes his value in the marketplace, and I think it helps you to be able to not come off as needy, not come off as pitchy, not come off as like, I've got to squeeze every drop out of every person I'm talking to. That's what leads him to, hey, if you want to jump over into the channel with me, great. If you don't, you feel like this is enough, awesome. Let's just keep doing journey together. And I feel like it helps you understand there can be a long enough tail, right? Not every yes has to happen today. Sometimes people just need to get warm. They just need to get used to you, and giving them some free for a while is the best thing you can do for a future yes.
Yeah. You said it well.
Yeah. I also think about Dharius. Dude, what a good dressing cat, dude. That guy just has his whole shtick down. And doesn't he actually do he actually sells some of the stuff that he wears, right? Doesn't he have like his whole swag line where it's like, if you like this look, if you like that look, and he actually is making some affiliate cut on the backside or some of the stuff that I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, I just remember early on he was doing some stuff. His kid, I think, was managing that side of the business where he actually had like a Shopify store, and there was some stuff that was like the Dharius line, the Miss Shamika line of different things. And I wish I had that kind of swagger. Dude, the guy just wears it well, which is awesome. I think probably the final thing in my mind is what makes a visionary have greatest last and longest value and is going to stay relevant in the marketplace is going to be who's there, is going to be strategic alliances. Like, who are you allying yourself with, right? I think that if you make yourself an island, like, you're limited with the borders of your island, right? Like that. I think of San Pedro, like we've got a coffee shop in San Pedro, 2 stores on San Pedro. I can only expand so much though in San Pedro because it's a limited amount of people. It's a limited pool, right? Like, there's only so many people that want coffee on the island of San Pedro. I can't just continue to open up other locations. But I will say, if you can make a connection with people outside of you, if you can form some powerful alliances that are outside of your circle, that means that you're going to be able to be introed to their group of people as well. If you bring on guests, let's say you're doing live challenge, let's say you're doing live webinars, let's say you're doing events. And I think that when you're doing that, inviting other leaders in so that they can introduce their people to it too, because then they can say, hey, I'm going to be on Dr. Darius's challenge. I'm going to be on Dr. Darius's stage. And then their people are like, oh, I want to go check out what he's got to say on Dr. Darius's stage. And then there can be some really cool joint venture stuff you're doing together, not only limited to what your ads have knocked down, not only limited to your list growth, but it expands it out to other people's lists, expands it out to microcosms of other people that are out there. It doesn't only have to be big names either. It could be just somebody that's got a really strong following in this really niche spot that you've been wanting to break into, and they're the expert in the spot. I think bringing different people in. So I'd say strategic alliances. Don't get so full of your own energy that you forget, collective energy. Many hands makes light work, right? Like if you're going to move a piano, you don't want to do it just with two guys. Like how can we get multiple people under this thing for the lift? So Terryn, I don't know if you've seen somebody do that well, or I know we talked about Dharius. I feel like Pedro does it really well. Wisdom challenge every year.
Yeah. And I think though, be careful that you're just, like you said, be strategic about it. And you don't want to be known to just saying yes to anybody, because then your people don't want to hear from you anymore. But yeah, if you can be strategic with a partnership or alliance or a promotion, because it's something you believe in, it's got a linear value set to what you do and for who's following you, then absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I think that is a very good point. You don't want to be somebody that's just like a used car salesman that's just pitching every product out there. It doesn't make any sense with your target market that you've built this list for, right? Because your list is gonna be like, what the heck is this guy doing? Like, what? This has nothing to do with anything I would have signed up for, And I bring on some specialist on curling irons on my show. I don't even have hair. Like, what in the world's going on? Like, that's not going to be a good target market for me. I'm saying, but I think that realistically working through what's going to be a great ad. For us at the Collab team, we don't do marketing, right? We run ops for all these companies. I think we're at like 29 clients right now. We ops for all these underneath all these different hoods, but what we don't specialize in is marketing. And so there'll be times where customers are looking for that. I'm not going to try and make myself into something that I'm not. I'll just bring in a strategic partner and I'll tuck them into our retainer for a couple of months. And then if they like how that felt, then I'll let them have an opportunity to be able to work with that person if they want to continue it forward. Think about ways that can complement your offering by strategic alliances. And then the hope would be that those marketers would actually refer to us when it comes to operations, things that they don't want to get in the middle of. They don't want to help with finance. They don't want to help with strategic directions for teams and roles and responsibilities and SOPs. And they don't want to help out with customer support. They don't want to, they don't want to get too deep in the CRM engine. Like why? They're there to make things beautiful and to create amazing hooks. They're going to bring in the fish, but it's our job to clean and serve them up to the people, I'm so good with analogies today. I went from come on, Eileen, dude, all the way to cleaning and cutting fish. Tell me, and coffee. I tucked in Belize coffee, and then Terryn, I'm on fire today. I think what it takes is getting up at 1 a.m. I was up at 1 a.m. this morning to start traveling. So that's what you get.
Oh man, that's the worst. I hate it. But you did it to yourself.
I did. You know what it was, Terryn? You know what it was? Points. Frickin' points they give me every time. They're like, come use your points, and for only $100, we'll give you a round trip ticket to Belize. And I'm like, yes. Oh, wait a minute. I started travel yesterday at 4 p.m. and I just got home at 2:30 p.m. today. Well, that wasn't the most ideal travel flight plan.
That's awesome.
All righty, guys. Well, Ops Experts, I hope you enjoyed today. I think all of us want to be successful in our craft, successful in our trade, especially those of you out that are visionaries or operators supporting visionaries. I think helping guide ourselves into success that's long and sustainable. So I hope you guys appreciated those today. And man, kudos to Dr. Dharius, Pedro Adeo, some of these guys that have just surfed the waves and really made a name for themselves. So very grateful to have served such great guys out there. So Terryn Turner, always an honor. And Ops Experts, we'll see you next week here on Ops Experts Club.
Yes. See ya.